I hate to say this, but I am currently all brakes, no gas on our little cyberpunk mystery. But the reason may not be exactly what you think it is. Ready? Let's go. I am super ADA greedy. Once I get an ADA in my little lobster claw, I don't want to let it go. In fact, if I was going to buy an NFT, I wouldn't even use my current ADA bag to do this. I would probably use new ADA. I would buy new ADA so that I had to feel the pain of buying that ADA at current prices. Earlier today, it was almost time. It was almost time. What was it? Was it 1 hour before, half an hour before, 45 minutes? I can't even remember now. But it was almost time for our little cyberpunk mystery to unravel itself before our eyes. We were going to see exactly what Cardano City actually was. We had speculated a lot, explored a lot of different theories. They couldn't all have possibly been true, but everybody had their individual hopes. Some people just wanted a regular conventional NFT art project because that's what they're into. There were other people like me who are really into the idea of functional NFTs that do something, and also very into the idea of an open virtual world. And it would have been great if Cardano City turned out to be that. We didn't get to find out any of those things. Instead, what we got was this message: due to unexpected growth in interest, they are postponing for 48 hours. 2 days they're postponing. They cited a need to alleviate weekend-related high traffic concerns and a desire to implement stricter security measures. And they thanked everyone for support and understanding. The language was a little interesting. They said, we have decided to postpone the Cardano City NFT drop. They didn't say, we have decided to postpone the launch of our new open virtual world metaverse or anything like that. I would have been stoked if I saw that, if that was the announcement. Hey, this is going to be a gigantic open virtual world and there's going to be all kinds of NFTs involved. This is a veritable metaverse. Anything like that would have been super welcomed by me. I actually did approve of them delaying this launch. Whatever the launch was, I definitely approved them delaying it, just because the amount of people who are obviously going to try to buy whatever it is they're going to try to sell was going to be pretty phenomenal. I mean, a couple of days ago, they did not have 10.4 thousand followers. Now they have 10.4 thousand followers. A lot of heat has developed around this project. I actually strongly agreed yesterday when Jeff from Swag Stake Pool pointed out that they couldn't possibly be ready for the amount of pressure this launch was going to see. So the delay was not really a problem for me. I've been hodling Cardano for years now, and waiting 48 hours if we were about to get a big, gigantic project on Cardano, and not just a big gigantic project, but an open immersive virtual world that has functional NFTs, which I'm a huge fan of. If there was any chance that was going to happen, then I would have happily waited a couple of days. But even before everybody found out about the delay, we saw some other things that weren't exactly encouraging. Here, NFT Fairness pointed out that the very glossy and fancy looking trailer we saw actually contained stock footage. This definitely appears to be the footage from the trailer, and as you can see, it's not very expensive to buy it on Shutterstock. This didn't exactly condemn the project in my eyes. I mean, I don't exactly need or want for my crypto project developers to also be like highly skilled cinematographers, but I think a very different signal might have been received by people who perceived this to be a sign that the project was well funded or well organized enough that they had like hired somebody to go out and film that segment. At this point, a lot of people seem to be asking what I think is the right question, and that's, hey, what is actually being sold here? And they were also asking the same question they've been asking all along: who's behind this project? Obviously, anonymity is not anything new in the crypto space. Satoshi was obviously anonymous or pseudonymous, however, whatever you want to call it. But I think in the context of a project like this, it is kind of an important supporting question. I think people care about who's behind a project for a couple of reasons, but one of the big ones is that if they know who's behind the project and it's not anonymous, it sort of lends credibility to whatever that group is telling you they're actually selling you. Meanwhile, I was kind of back at my original question, the one that I'd been posing myself, which was, what do we actually know about this project? And this has kind of always been the intriguing part, the fact that we don't actually know anything about the project except this one thing. They are very good at creating imagery, and they are obviously very brand committed to the Cardano ecosystem. And to be totally honest, that's pretty much it. I mean, they've created 4 or 5, I guess, if you count the little profile pic with the girl with her head kind of leaning off the edge of the balcony. They've produced like 4 or 5 really good images. That's what they are doing. That's what they want to do. That's what they want to present to us is art. That's what they're into. They haven't talked about having world-class developers. They haven't said, hey, soon you're going to meet our development team. They haven't said anything about developing anything. If we look at what we actually know, all we know is that they definitely have a capacity to produce art, and they definitely know something about the lore of the Cardano ecosystem. And they definitely want to brand very strongly within Cardano. This is not a generic crypto project. This is a Cardano project for sure. And they seem to know something about Cardano. Okay, I take it back. There's slightly more than just the 5 images that they've posted to Twitter. There's also this. This appears to be a little apartment or flat or condo or something, and they kind of flash us through a bunch of different configurations of this same little flat, all with the same floor plan. You can see they intersperse this with other video, but then they show us, you can move around the chairs, which you could interpret. You could interpret this moving around of furniture inside this little dollhouse style flat as, something that might fit within some kind of like open virtual world. There's definitely different configurations going on there. Or those could just be different versions of this. We've already covered this little NFT that popped up. This is unit number 24974. People have speculated about this, but it could just be a bunch of different versions of this unit in the form of conventional NFTs with various qualities, various parameters, some of which will turn out to be very rare. But let's face it, those could just be perfectly conventional NFTs that sit there in your wallet silently, statically, not doing anything at all except looking pretty. When you get right down to it, this particular Twitter account only gave us one tiny grain of information that even vaguely points in the direction of an open universe. That's this very, very short scene in the trailer where they almost spell out the word metaverse. I'm not even sure that they spell it out eventually. I haven't seen anybody claim they actually spell out metaverse. It looks like we get to the VER there, and the letters are doing that crazy jumbly thing, but I'm not even positive it actually spells metaverse. It looks like they might say metaver, and maybe that's all we get. So we can't even say they really use the word metaverse on this particular Twitter account. Maybe they did somewhere and I missed it, but I don't think they've even really ever said that this was anything more than just art. And also, I mean, their definition of metaverse might be much broader than mine or a lot of other people's. To them, a metaverse might just be a bunch of people holding NFTs related to their project, including those that sort of like entitle them to a unit in a building in the fictional Cardano city, and they can sort of sit around and in their mind pretend like they live in that apartment in that building. I mean, that sounds like some crazy LARPer person stuff to most people, I think. But maybe that's their definition of a metaverse. Maybe the metaverse is just you going online and talking about how you live in building C in unit 24973 or whatever. And maybe that's the metaverse to them. I think Occam's razor might possibly be helpful here. We have to ask ourselves, of the possible explanations, what is the simplest? Is the simplest possible explanation that Cardano City actually has an army of developers who are either currently building out an immersive virtual world, a veritable metaverse, or even that they're going to start doing that once they collect the money from the NFT sales, and that maybe they even have like ties to the big entities in Cardano like IOHK, and this is going to be the giant project that we're all hoping we see eventually. I mean, all those things are possible, but it's not the simplest explanation. It could be that those things are actually the case, but the simplest explanation is that it's more consistent with the only things they've told us. The only things they've told us are like, hey, look at this JPEG we made. We rendered a really cool JPEG. That's what they've told us. And they didn't even tell us about that one unit that popped up in Pool PM. Smaug found that one, apparently, I'm told. Um, but what they've communicated to us is that they're very good at art. And so, to me, the simplest explanation for Cardano City is that this is going to be an art NFT, or I should say, this is most likely to be an art NFT. And we haven't seen anything whatsoever indicating that there's going to be any functionality at all, actually. I was kind of hoping this morning before the delay news, the postponement news, that we were going to see an opening up of a bunch of documents, letting us know exactly where this project was going to go. And of course, I hope to win in that open, immersive virtual world direction. That's not what we got. We got more of the same. We got no indication whatsoever that there's any functionality involved here, which is okay, because I know a lot of you are actually just into art NFTs. You're into those for themselves just based on the amount of transaction volume we're seeing in the art NFT scene in Cardano, which I think is great. I'm not into it, but I'm glad a lot of people are, because it creates transaction volume on Cardano, which benefits me as a Cardano hodler. If the prediction for Tuesday that Occam's razor guides us towards that this is just going to be a sale of a bunch of art NFTs, maybe a bunch of those units and maybe some of their little character NFTs, like the kinds they've been posting on their Twitter account, then I'm out. I'm going to sit this one out. You guys are on your own. I'm not really an art NFT guy at this stage. And I know some of you are, but I'll probably be out if that's the case. The only way I would jump back in at this point would be if we had some kind of giant disclosure of information, and suddenly they were like, "Okay, we were just in stealth mode, but actually, here's our entire dev team, and here's some like strong relationship we have with IOHK or something crazy like that." If they drop something crazy like that, then I would have to research everything and convince myself it's all true, which would probably still mean I would miss the launch that's supposed to happen on Tuesday. So probably I'm out on this one no matter what, but small chance I could jump back in if there was some like overwhelming showing of information that created a bunch of trust that they're actually going to create some kind of functional project. If it's not a functional project, if it's just an art project, I know a lot of you are still going to be interested in it. I would just say in this case, where we have, at this point, at least to my knowledge, completely anonymous founders and developers, using that word loosely, not implying there's any like technical development going on here, but developers of this art project, you still need to be careful that this isn't a lobster trap, because they're completely anonymous and there's going to be so much heat around this project on Tuesday, probably. You need to look out for the worst case scenario that this is a true lobster trap, where everybody jumps on at the appointed time on Tuesday, shoves a bunch of ADA into their wallet, and then things just go silent. They never actually deliver whatever it is they're trying to sell you on Tuesday. That's actually possible. We don't know who these people are. We wouldn't know who to send, law enforcement to. We don't know where they're located. We don't know anything about this project. we just have a Twitter account and we have maybe probably a related token that looks like it was a test that we can see on pool.pm. That's all we have. So there's still a distinct possibility on Tuesday, even if this thing is just an art NFT and you're totally good with that, you still need to beware that you send your little Ada lobsters into the cave and it turns out not to be a cave, that it's actually a lobster trap and you never see your Ada again and you don't get any NFTs in return. So be super careful on Tuesday. I'm probably out, but who knows? Maybe we'll get surprised. This is Cardano, and Cardano has a tendency to surprise everybody. Talk to you tomorrow.